Welcome to lesson 2 of your pop art portrait. This is your final piece and your assessment work for this term. So a gentle reminder not to rush any of this work. It's important that you first of all enjoy it, but also that you are drawing accurately and with care. You're taking some pride in your work. As you can see, I'm starting to work into my background. Now we're going to be filling the space of the background around the portrait and up to the sides of the page with items that best represent you. So you can see on mine I have drawn in some art supplies, I've got my camera, I've got some food in there, I'm a real foodie, and I've got my hockey stick. So I'm filling up the space, I'm overlapping some of them, and I'm just focusing on a high amount of detail. The next bit is we're going to be choosing our colour. So again, the background colour should be opposite to the main colour of your portrait. So it's complementary, it stands out. The main colour in mine, I'm going to go with the hair colour because that takes up most of the colours in the portrait. I could go the opposite to the eye colour, but I'm going to choose blue because that is opposite on the colour wheel to orange. That means my image will stand out and it'll be really bright and powerful. So all the sections in the background will be different shades of blue. Now I'm going to be using paint for mine. I'm also going to use some colour pencils, and I'll show you how to use both of those along this tutorial. However, if you've got other media like collage, oil pastels, chalk pastels, pens, then you are more than welcome to use those, and you can also use more than one media on the background. So like me, I'm doing paint and colour pencils. So with these colour pencils, you might think, I've only got a light version of the colour and a dark version, like my light blue and my dark blue. Now what you could do is use different pressures of those pencils. So with the dark blue, you can press lightly to get one tone, and you can press dark to get a bit more of a brighter tone of that colour. Again with the light pencil. However, I'm going to show you that you can use layering. So you've not got just these two colours here, you can use the harmonious colour. So the harmonious to blue, one of them is purple. I'm going to do a quick layer of purple in one of the sections in the pencil, and then I am going to do a layer on top with one of my blues. Now with the blue I'm going to press a bit harder so it stands out, it's still predominantly blue. No matter what media you choose to use for this background colour, you are going to be having a variety of shades of one colour. So if you had collage, you are then going to have to find lots of different pieces of paper or material or packaging that have different shades of that colour. So light blue, dark blue, or if you've chosen a different colour, a light and dark version and slightly different tints of that colour. Now you'll notice that on my palette here, I've got my blue and my white, which I have been using to start with, and I've got lots of different tones of the blue using a little bit of white or a lot more white. But I'm also using the other two primary colours, red and yellow. Now with paints, they will make the secondary colours if I mix it with blue. So to begin with, I used my yellow and I mixed a little bit of yellow in with the blue. So it's still blue, but it had a slight tint of green in it. I've done the same with the red to create a slightly purpley red, and I'm using the light versions of those colours as well. You might be thinking, what on earth is Miss Kent using as a paint palette? Well, I've got an old ice cream container. It is plastic, so it means it is reusable. It is no longer needed for food, so I am able to wash it off once I'm done with my painting, and it is actually perfect to mix the paints on because it is plastic. It does mean that the paints can mix really well and they do not dry out while I am still doing a painting, even if that painting takes an hour or two to complete. I've finished my background now. I've completely covered the background in blue, even the space behind the objects and around in between those items I've filled in with different shades of blue. I really like how it looks, but to finish it off in a true pop art fashion, we've got two things left. The first being the outline. Now, I've tried this in different types of pen. Truly what works best for this is a biro pen. So that is like the pen that you'll use at school to write, but you're going to use a black version. Now, the black version will make all your colours, all your outlines stand out really neatly, and it will really elevate your work. It won't look too cartoony because you are using a thin pen in the biro, not a thick board marker or a Sharpie. So keep hold of those. We don't want to see too many thick Sharpie outlines this time. And I'm just going to outline it neatly and outline the items in the background. The final thing we're going to be doing to make it look like a true piece of pop artwork is we're going to be using our collage materials. As you can see here, I've got my bag of sugar. There's a tiny bit in the bottom, so I will be just ripping off the top part where it's got a nice bit of blue, and I'm going to be using that to have the dots that are often seen in Roy Lichtenstein's work, and I'm going to be hole punching or cutting those dots out of this piece of paper, and I'm going to be putting it into one section of my artwork. I've chosen to put the dots in the hockey stick shape because it's central to the image. It's also a nice light blue, whereas this paper is slightly darker, so it'll stand out quite nicely, and it's also a large space, so I can spread these dots out without them touching, whereas if I use this chili pepper I won't be able to fit many dots in and they'll probably touch and overlap. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to fold over the paper back and forth a few times so that when I draw on the circle I'm cutting that out, and I'll be cutting out multiple dots at once. This will speed up the process much more. Although if you do have a hole puncher at home, I advise you use that. If there are any areas that you'd like to neaten up or make the lines a little bit thicker, then get your biro pen and just go round some of the shapes that you would like to be a little bit more clear and thicker in the outlines. So for instance, this avocado stone here is normally quite dark in real life, so naturally it's quite a dark stone, so I might want to go around the outline of that a little bit thicker to represent that darker area. This is my pop art final piece. Enjoy producing your own pop art portrait. Email me your work as soon as you have completed it. Good luck and enjoy.